2025 NFL team previews. We're talking the Buffalo Bills, and I already talked briefly about the Bills in my early season look-ahead video I did back in May. If you haven't seen that one, go check it out. Buffalo has the highest win total of any team, 11.5, over juiced at -140, which is basically like 12 wins. I have Buffalo with my highest projected win total at 12.7 games. This is aided by not just the average strength of opponent, which I have 0.8 points worse than league average, but also the way their home road games are laid out. They have the easiest road schedule in the league with an average opponent strength of 2.7 points worse than league average. Every quality opponent they'll play will be at home in Buffalo. 4 of their first 5 games are at home, including 3 straight home games. League-wide, teams win 65% of those 3 straight home games. And usually teams that get 3 straight home games eventually get a stretch of 3 straight road games, but Buffalo gets to avoid that. They only play 5 teams all season that I have rated inside the top 10, and they play all of them at home in Orchard Park, where Buffalo has been the most dominant home team in the league the last 5 years. They're 35-7, 83% win rate at home. At this time last year, all signs kind of pointed towards the Bills regressing. Remember, like a lot of talks about how the offense and Josh Allen will struggle without Diggs and Gabe Davis. Total opposite happened. Not only did Josh Allen win MVP, but Buffalo exceeded all expectations in basically every way possible. They won 13 games, which was 3 more games than their regular season win total of 10. They averaged over 30 points per game. They went over their listed team total game to game by an average margin of 6 points per game, going over their team total 76% of the time, more than any other team. So their offense was elite. Defense was around league average in most meaningful metrics, but they did force 32 turnovers, which is second most in the league. And as good as Buffalo was against the league in general, it's the Chiefs who are keeping them from the Super Bowl. And last year was just such a good chance for the Bills, because when you look at some of the metrics that mostly rely on luck or randomness, Buffalo got a lot of breaks. They fumbled the least amount of times, and when they did fumble, they recovered those fumbles at the 3rd highest rate. On defense, they forced the most fumbles and also recovered those at the 3rd highest rate. There's nothing more random than a football bouncing on the ground. Bills only had 1 turnover in the second half in 1-score games, but they forced 11 turnovers in those same 1-score games. If you remove turnovers, Buffalo's defense ranked 28th in EPA per play allowed and 30th defending the pass. Buffalo had by far the widest gap between EPA rank on defense and then EPA rank on defense when removing turnovers. In other words, Buffalo had a hard time stopping opponents if they didn't force a turnover. Buffalo was plus 24 in turnover differential. The next closest team was plus 16. Now, the general thought when you have a team that was so good in turnover differential is that the next season regression comes out. But, I'm not really buying it. Buffalo's kind of like designed to win turnover battles. You have Josh Allen, who's now experienced and really takes care of the ball well. And then on offense, they're scoring so early, which is putting pressure on opposing offenses to score more and take more risks. And then a defense that's opportunistic and forcing those turnovers, it's giving the defense a lot more chances to get takeaways. Will they be plus 24 in turnovers again? Probably not, but I don't really think they have to be. Now, besides the turnovers, Buffalo was also very fortunate when it comes to injuries, specifically across the offensive line. 2 years ago, Buffalo finished as the 2nd healthiest team on the offensive line. This is also where we normally see regression the next year. But for Buffalo, they only had 1 offensive lineman miss a game last year, and it was tackle Spencer Brown, where he sat out a meaningless final game of the season versus New England. So that's 2 straight years being the healthiest team on the offensive line. And they also played a schedule of opponents who had the worst combined injury luck in the league. They faced 8 of the top 10 most injured teams based on AGL. AGL's adjusted games lost due to injury. With a team loaded like Buffalo, they didn't really need to make any huge offseason additions. They already have the most combined spending this season of any team at almost $770 million spending. So they aren't really in a position to add big impact free agents. Bosa was the big signing this offseason, but he was just replacing veteran edge rusher Von Miller. Bosa's always hurt too. He's only played 28 games the last 3 seasons. Bills' secondary is probably their main weakness, though. They got torched by KC in the AFC Championship game, so naturally they used their top pick in the draft on Kentucky speedster Max Harrison, but they didn't really do anything to improve the pass coverage, so that could be a concern this year. But I think as long as Josh Allen's healthy, the Bills are definitely winning the AFC East division. That's basically a formality, but they also have a very realistic, clear path to the number one overall seed in the AFC. But again, Buffalo, for the big question for them, comes down to can they get past KC when it matters most. Now, I did bet Buffalo over 11.5 wins. It's rare to see a team go over a double-digit win total after they went over their double-digit win total by 2 or more games the previous year. Only 10 out of 28 teams have done that in the last 25 years. Hoping Bills can do it this year and be the 11th team to do it. Great home field advantage against a soft schedule. So we'll see how that goes. Be on the lookout for the Carolina Panthers team preview up next. And until then, good luck with your bets.